Okay, there you go.
Okay, I'm going to switch back to mute mode and we'll get started. First of all, I want to welcome everybody and thank you for taking the time to attend this. There's been a lot of effort that's gone into this, both from myself as well as the rest of the affiliate team. So I want to start off with a huge thank you to everyone in the affiliate team who helped put this together, as well as everyone who helped me review this material to make sure it was good. I also want to say there is a possibility that we run into some technical issues because it's our first time. So hopefully we don't, but that disclaimer is always there. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn on a link. Everybody should see it. And if you are watching this either in the meeting or live, you will now see a link that should appear at the top of the slides. This link is where you can go to ask questions. You can type things in the chat for the meeting and everyone will be able to see them. I'm just a little busy, so I won't be able to respond. But I do have a screen up to see these questions. So if you have one, feel free to drop it and I can get to it as long as we're still live. If you're watching in the future, unfortunately this link is probably expired. So first off, I want to give you now oh, this is gonna be a pain. There we go. Sorry, apparently if I have the meeting window over the other window doesn't update, so I need to make this really small. I'll turn down the volume. All right, here we go. Here is another link. You'll want to take this one down. It will be disappearing in just a little bit, but what this link gets you is access to a folder, and within that folder is this slide presentation that I'm giving you now, a document that has associated links to other places like the SOS website, tools you can use to put together materials that will go along with this presentation throughout. It will tell you see link, and that is referring to that document. There is a report in there that is a sample postmortem report, and we'll get to why that's in there later. What else? That's what's coming to mind now, but there may be other things in there that I'm not thinking of. All of it is resources related to this training. So let's get into our first material. So this training is on election night, but when you are a county party doing an election night, your job does not start on election night. It actually starts before the day. There is a lot of prep work that needs to go in it, a lot of planning, a lot of scheduling, and you need to have that laid out in your head before you walk in to your election night. Otherwise, you're gonna be running around like a chicken with your head cut off. The first thing I always advise for anyone who has an event or project coming up is to make a schedule and download a countdown app. I actually, in the document, have links to a countdown app that you can use on Android and a countdown app you can use on Apple. The point is, I want this as a little widget or a little screen that you can pull up on your phone and see every day how close you are, because it is very easy to look at a longer term project and say, I have 4 weeks, I'm fine, and then not realize 3 weeks later you only have 7 days, or 4 days after that you have 3 days, and then it is right up on you and you have let time get away from you. So having that, front of your mind reminder on any kind of project like this is critical to you stay on top of it. So you've gone through, you've gotten your schedule, or you're getting your schedule, and you've got your countdown app. What's next in making your schedule? Well, you want to get a list of dates. And we're going to go through some of those dates here, and some of those dates I'm going to give you in links. But a lot of these are easy to find, but you need to put them all in a unified place. If you have a calendar that is dedicated to your LP county stuff, maybe it's through a Gmail that you've set up for your county, maybe it's listed on your website, but there's a back-end version that you can see. That is a great place to store it, especially if the rest of your county can see it. So if not, put it on your calendar. It's fine. Color code it or something so you'll know that's what it's there to. So here's some important dates you might want to add to your calendar. The last day to register to vote, which was actually 3 days ago, but I'm hoping that this training will be persistent for future elections, and that would be a good thing if it was still in the future. Absentee ballot deadline. So for this particular year, and some of these dates are going to change, but there's going to be a link to where you can find it generally at any time. Request must be received by October 28th. Ballot must be postmarked or returned in person by November 8th at 7 p.m. The reason all these election dates are going to be important is I am sure, being leaders in county parties, that you go out and you talk about politics. And being as such, and the ignorance that a lot of people have around the election process, which is largely due to the very complicated system we have, they're probably going to come to you at some point and be asking you these questions. And if you don't have those answers, not only is it going to hurt your credibility with them, but more importantly, this might be a potential person who would vote for one of our candidates, and if you don't give them the information, they may not go do that. Moving along in that same vein, we have early voting. This year, it runs from October 24th to November 4th. You'll also want to add dates relevant to appointing poll watchers. There has been an email that has gone out about poll watchers that includes the poll watchers guide as well as some relevant dates. But if you are a county chair, you get the opportunity, at least right now with the way the law is, to appoint some people who can go watch the voting process. Doing that is good for a couple reasons. One, keeping transparency within the system is awesome. But two, there are going to be other influential people within your community who are involved in the election process at these elections. And having a representative from the Libertarian Party there to be seen, to tell them we are serious about this process, and to network are all great things and ultimately affecting the kind of changes we want to see. So getting somebody to volunteer as a poll watcher is really, really good activity that pays off in the long term. And finally, the probably most important one you need to have on there is the actual date of the event, which this year is November 8th. So, leading up to the election night, I am sure that many of you have been contacted by lots of candidates, and probably a good deal of you have a little stash of candidate material that is going to be suddenly useless on November 9th. And to that end, let me mute my phone. Sorry. To that end, you'll want to get rid of it because it will no longer be useful one day after. So, ways to do this: set up events, do block walking, sign waving, boothing. If you have media appearances, going out there and asking for some media time and having signs to wave, all great use for those. And if somebody comes up and they've not heard of them, you could tell them about the candidate, but at this point, this late in the election, hand them a sign. They may put it up in their yard, they may not, but it's not doing you any good sitting in your storage house or wherever it is. If you have signs, put them up polling locations. And be sure to schedule a post-election pickup. Now, putting signs in polling location and polling location activity is one of the things that is regulated within Texas and probably most states. And if you're going to go do that, which I highly recommend you do, you need to be aware of the regulations around it. So, I have here the regulations. So, real quick, I have highlighted some of the more important parts. If you want to go look at the whole thing, you can find this in section 61.003 of Election Code. And it deals with electioneering and loitering near polling places. So first of all, it is a crime during the voting period and within 100 feet of an outside door through which a voter may enter the building in which a polling place is located if you loiter or electioneer for or against any candidate, measure, or political party. If you go down here, it includes the posting or use or distribution of any political signs or literature. And I have seen where they have taken this all the way to wearing candidate-related clothing at polling places. So be cognizant that when you're within 100 feet of that door, that electioneering can be construed very broadly. So you want to keep all your activities outside of that because you don't want to give anyone cause to take down your material. A lot of times what I have seen is polling places will go and mark off the zone that is protected, and people can just put signs outside of that. If you believe that the zone that is marked off is maybe a little more than 100 feet from an entrance, or you say, well, that's 100 feet from a wall, the entrance isn't over there. It is my personal advice that you, as long as they are leaving space around for you to put up signs, that you just put the signs where is allocated. The reason is a lot of people going to those polling places are not aware of the law and generally support the idea of not having signs in their face while they're trying to stand in line. And if you go up there and make a fuss about this and it is seen negatively by voters, they're going to associate it with whoever sign you're holding. So I would highly recommend trying the best you can to stay in compliance around these polling locations. Sorry, I'm scanning real quick. Okay, yes. So this A-1, the entity that owns or controls a public building being used as a polling place may not at any time during the voting period prohibit electioneering on the building's premises, but may enact reasonable regulations concerning the time, place, and manner of the electioneering. So if somebody tries to tell you that electioneering is not allowed at all, that it is completely prohibited, that's kind of where I would start to take a stand and say, now you're violating federal law. Because at the time, regardless of our views on private property, at the time that they agreed to host as a polling location, they agreed to allow people to put up signs. And that's all parties, that is nonpartisan, and they have to allow everyone equal access. So, try to walk that line. You're going to see a little excerpt in here that the term for electioneering, the term does not include the distribution of a notification of party convention authorized under section 172.1114. I have personally seen where people have seen this and tried to get around electioneering law by putting together some kind of pamphlet for their convention. What's important about that is section 172 deals with the primary parties distributing notices during the primary election. So trying to hand out flyers about our convention that is coming up in 2024 is not in compliance with this excerpt here. I just want to make that abundantly clear because it's not clear unless you reference 172. Lastly, it's important to know that an offense under this section is a Class C misdemeanor. I know that was a lot in a short time, but I'm not seeing any questions, so hopefully that means I nailed it and we're super clear. If not, please feel free to go to the link and drop some questions. Moving on. Limit Jeffrey Miller. The next thing you're going to want to do ahead of the election is make a voter's guide. Now, there are 3 things that you're going to want to make sure and cover in your voter guide. LP candidates, and it is important that we only endorse LP candidates because Article 5.4 of the national bylaws prohibits any affiliate from endorsing any candidate who is a member of another party for public office in any partisan election. So this doesn't include nonpartisan. No affiliate party shall take any action inconsistent with the statement of principles or these bylaws. So by doing, if you did decide to endorse a Republican or a Democrat or even a Green Party, you would risk your affiliate status with the national party. Ballot measures. I don't know that that's going to be such a big deal during the November election, but during local election, this definitely comes into play. Although, depending on your municipality and their charter, they could very well do stuff during the November election. And so be cognizant if there are ballot measures. The best place to go find them is at your city's voting website. And some of those are run by the county clerk, and some of those are run by a separate voting department. But wherever they are, go check your local county's voting department, county voting stuff, and see if there's any ballot measures. I did see a question pop up and it went away over here in the chat. Like I said, I'm not really able to monitor the chat well. So I'm going to give 2 reminders. One, if you do have questions, the best place to submit them is slides.app.goo.gol/GNAJ7. But I'm seeing somebody say that they are not able to submit questions. I'm going to really quickly take a pause and go to... I'm seeing a question pop up. Okay. Nice. And I'm going to real quickly... capital GNAJ7. Interesting. Okay. Christy, can you do me a favor? Because typing it in up top seems to yield for me a Google search. I'm actually going to... Here's what I'm going to do real quick. I'll see that. I'm going to close that. I'm going to come back over here to the meeting. Where's the meeting? Here's the meeting. Okay. I'm going to come to the chat. I'm dropping a link. So let's see if I click this link. Yes, it goes there. Okay. So try the link in the chat if you have trouble. Okay. I see Joe's question. Okay, we have questions coming through. Cool. Okay, so the question I think I saw was, does this apply only to an affiliate or to an individual? So this I'm assuming they're talking about the bylaws on endorsement, and that is only to an affiliate party. Individuals are allowed to endorse whoever they want. However, just know that your individual endorsement as a human does not warrant a email blast or a posting on the county website or any other announcement through official party channels. That will then become viewed as an affiliate party action and will either result in you being out of line with your county party by moving on their behalf, or if you were authorized to make the action you did, your county party being out of compliance. So, but yes, as an individual, you can endorse whoever you like. Ballot measures, read each measure and take a position. If you have a question in your mind as to what the right answer is, consult the platform or resolutions that your county has passed. I find, sometimes I'll be looking at something and my own biases will creep in, and it's helpful to me to go through and actually read back over what the platform says on the matter. Sometimes you will find a measure that may be in line with one part of the platform but out of line with another. A good example that I see all the time is a tax break of some kind that only applies to a certain segment of the population. So this might be a tax break for people retirement age. You might, that's a tough one because we don't believe in the government granting special privileges to special groups. We do believe in less taxes. So where do you go on that? The easiest one for me is always, vote your conscience, or, there's a lot of ways to word this. But you can definitely take the position that either one of these positions is in line with libertarian views. Local races. Again, this is probably something you're not going to see in November because they usually happen in May. However, I do know that one county I lived in previously had a provision in their local charter that if there was a vacancy in one of the city council spots that happened to occur during November voting, that vacancy could be filled during the general election ballot. So again, it is possible to have local races on your ballot. Now, because they will be local, you are allowed to endorse nonpartisan candidates. Be careful when you do it, because what you endorse, what you put on the website, will be representing your entire county. So when in doubt, a few places I like to go is one, consult your platform. And ask the candidate if they're familiar with our platform. If there's a candidate who doesn't know anything about our platform, I don't know that we can reasonably expect that they will, act in a manner that's in line with libertarian views. So that's a great place to start. And you may even get a response that says something like, "I'm not, but I would love to be. Can I read it?" And if they do, they may decide that that's exactly how they would like to govern, and it would be a good opportunity to have an endorsement if you believe them in your own view. Lastly, consult your CEC and your general membership. You don't have to make this decision on your own, especially for some of our counties that have more people. Get everyone involved. It's going to be good to get outside voices on that. Next, we want to, how does a candidate view the counting? Okay, great question. So I know that a candidate can appoint, just like we talked about the county chairs being able to appoint poll watchers. I know that a county chair can appoint, that a candidate can also appoint their own poll watchers that are separate and apart from the party's poll watchers. And obviously those people could go watch the counting. I don't actually know the answer to the question and haven't researched because it's mostly geared at affiliate parties, whether or not the candidate themselves can view the counting. So if somebody knows the answer to that, maybe good opportunity to drop that information in the chat. But I do know at the very least they can appoint their own poll watchers through a very similar process that the county chairs do, with a slightly different form they fill out. A candidate can't be a poll watcher, Chrissy just said so. So the candidate can't do it, only a poll watcher for the candidate can. Awesome. So planning your election night event, first you want to pick a location. You want this to be a place where you can reasonably have a group your size attend. And generally, though I have shown up and just had an event at places before, it is best if you contact location ahead of time and try to get some tables reserved so that your group isn't scattered and you have a coalesced spot for everyone to be. It's also good advertising when you do this because it lets local businesses know that you exist who may have not known before. And that's a great start to reaching people. So pick a location. You also probably want a location that has TVs so you can watch the news, is willing to put the TVs on the election, and is okay, ideally, with you bringing and presenting a projector or a TV that you hook up to a computer. And we will get into why later on. Partner with other counties and organizations. If you're a smaller county and you're expecting to go to this restaurant and have 3 people, it may be good to find other counties around you. Get 4 counties, each of them bring 3 people. Now you got 12. Now you got a nice little group together. And it's always fun to have more people around. The other thing you might consider is if you have friendly organizations like the Marijuana Policy Project, any 2A groups, anything like that, and you want to have them come out, bring them out. These are all people who are very interested in how these elections go. I'm sure they have vetted the candidates and spoken probably to a lot of them about their positions on their particular issue. And I'm sure they'd love to come out and see how the candidates do. So great opportunity to partner there as well. Plan for food and libations. These elections can go pretty late. People are going to want to eat. A lot of times these events can be hosted at a restaurant, but it doesn't have to be. Anywhere you would host a Super Bowl viewing is a good place to host an election night watch party, as long as they're willing to put the election on the TV. And when you're trying to think of things to do, think of the same thing you would do for the game, you know. So if you're hosting it at someone's house, they got a big screen TV and they want to do it there, sure, and have everybody bring some chips, some dip, Vienna sausages, whatever, you want to bring, and do a potluck style. Oh, cool. Somebody dropped a link to requirements for poll watch candidates. Cool. Yeah, so Super Bowl, have fun with it. AV setup, I've talked about that earlier. You're going to want a computer and a projector ideally. Most of this is going to be watched via the web. If you go look at the links in that document I provided, there is a link to the state of Texas live election system. And it's got bars of, who's in the lead, vote totals, percentage counted, and you can sit there and hit refresh, and that thing will just update your score. That's your little, command center of what's going on in the election. And honestly, the last election party I went to, we were really watching Mark Miller's campaign, and it was Trump's election, No, I've gone to one since, but one that was very memorable for me. It was Trump's election, and we were all watching Mark Miller's campaign on the screen on the update because it was the question of if we were going to have ballot access or not. Largely was resting on his campaign, and we ended up so laser focused on that one race that I didn't even know Trump had won until we saw that he had the numbers. We got our percentage, and we all celebrated. We turned around, and the unexpected, at least for me, winner of that election was a jarring moment. But I know, for myself, being so involved leading up with the more local and statewide elections, sometimes I even lose sight of the national elections going on. That AV setup can be kind of the center of the focus. Plan your people. If you have somebody who can take a day off for that, have them do it. Being able to get to that restaurant early, get set up, coordinate picking stuff up, moving it there. Even if you have someone who can maybe take the next day off and can help break down, because this thing can go late and some people might leave before the night's over. All great stuff, and it's good to have people knowing who is taking care of what. Go vote. So this one is, I would think or hope that I wouldn't have to put that on there, but the reason that I am we took the time and in all caps put this slide is when you are busy planning these events, planning these block walkings, putting signs out, planning this election night event, it is easy to get so caught up in all the things that you need to do to make this right that you forgot to go vote yourself. And you're sitting there on November 8th. Okay, I got this, I got my chips, I got my dip, my screen, the computer's working. Greg can bring a backup computer, we're all good. And yeah, we're gonna get our this local election where we're hoping to get 40% or even a win on this one. And then you say, oh shoot, I never went and voted. And now you're scrambling last minute to get somebody who can watch the stuff so you can run down and vote. Get that taken care of. At least make a plan. If you want to go do early voting, that's great. If you are one of the people that likes to vote on the day, that's fine. Just make sure you have that scheduled into your entire plan where you get to vote, and to remind everyone in your county to schedule it into their plan to get to the polls and actually vote. Yep, that's pretty much what I just said. Okay, so we did all our planning. We had our app, we had our countdown, we had our calendar, we put our signs out, and it is now November 8th. It's the day of, oh my God, this has been so stressful, but we're here. So what do we do? First thing, day of, gather your materials together. Get every bit of signage that is sitting around in your house and get it out. Put it in your vehicle. It's going to the election night event with you. And for me, at least, when I leave, I'm stopped by a dumpster and it's going in the trash because that stuff is suddenly no good November 9th. Make sure you have all your candidate material. Contact your people. This can be texts, this can be calls. You can meet in person. Maybe an election morning brunch. It's a Tuesday, but hey, if y'all are off, why not? Make sure the people who committed to helping in your lead up are still available. Maybe Greg, who had the spare computer, woke up with a headache and a cough, and he can't taste his soup anymore, and he's thinking he's not going to make it to the election night event. You're going to be much better off if you know that ahead of time. So hit your people up, see where they're at, make sure they're still committed, and make sure they voted. Yep, make sure they have voted or will vote. Go over your plan. So you've put all this work into making your election night plan. Take a few minutes, review what you did. go to the details for your plan, who's doing what, and make sure everything you need is in place. Do a quick drive-by. Check your polling location signs. Ideally, they're all going to be there where you left them. We also know that sign vandalism and stealing is quite common. And hey, look, if your signs are gone, here's a perfect opportunity to put your sign back out and get rid of some of that stuff that's sitting around your house. It's all got to go, guys. Quick one over, put them out, replace any missing signs. So we got through our morning. It's afternoon time. Get people to the polls. We've been working on this, not for a day, not for a week, for months. I figure we have been working on this since the end of the state convention, and a lot of candidates and their teams have been working on it longer than that. But at the end of the state convention, we knew who our candidates were. It was no longer a question of who was getting nominated, and it was time to hit the ground running. And we did, and we got all the way to here. It would be a shame for us to work for all those months and miss out on some votes because somebody didn't have a ride, because somebody's brother who wanted to vote for us couldn't get there. Get people to the polls. Call them, text them, give a ride. I know we're all human. I know we all have schedules. We can't do everything, and that's fine. I'm saying do what you can. This is the moment we've been working for. I said, text anyone you think will vote for us. Make sure they have a way to vote. Remember what day it is, and they remember what day it is. If they need help, help them. Promote your voter's guide. You put all this work into making a voter's guide. Plaster your hard work everywhere. Send emails out to your list. Put it on your website. Print out copies. And stay 100 feet away from a door and offer them out, right? Making those voter lists are a good way to keep you informed. It's a good way to practice political writing. It's something you can do to make a difference. And those are all good things. If nobody sees your voter's guide, those are all good things. But why stop there? Let's get it in as many hands as we can. We made them for a reason. Get to your event location. You want to get there early. You want to check in with staff and make sure everyone is on the same page. So get there, say, hey, John Wilford, I called ahead. I spoke to Jenny, I think it was. Yeah, I took a note. Yeah, it was Jenny. I spoke to Jenny, and she said that we were reserved for 2 tables here, and she was going to get with her manager, Frank, to make sure that they were marked off. Do you know where those tables are? Oh, you don't. You haven't heard. So Jenny and Frank didn't get to you? Okay, cool. Yeah, please, if you can call Frank and get this sorted out. We don't want to be having this conversation in the middle of the event. So get there early. If you can't get to your event location early, because I know I'm talking about a lot of stuff for people who have the time to be off, at the very least, give your event location a call. Check in, make sure everything's on the up and up, and your places are set aside. Start setting up and claiming your space. Hopefully, they reserved some tables for you. If they didn't and you're just showing up, get there early, get some tables, push them together. Hopefully you have an idea right now of how many are going to show up, and you can start putting your material out on them. You bought all these signs. Let's get it out there. Okay, so we got through our afternoon. It's now the night of the election. You've done your voting. You've got your space set up. Your people are showing up. Things are rocking and rolling. It's time to party, okay? We have worked very hard for a very long time for this night. Let's have some fun. And it's important to have fun because when you have fun, people want to be around you. So we want to have fun. We want to meet people. This is not only the night you've been waiting on for 2 years. It is also an excellent chance to meet other people who are interested in politics. If you go on and put the election on the TV and you have the projector with the results and you're refreshing them and people are coming over saying, look at that. look, Beto's doing great or bad or whatever, it doesn't matter. And they're interested in these races. These are other people who are politically engaged. And these are the kind of people you want to be attracting to your county. So here they are. They're right here in front of you. And you having fun is a great way to interact with these people. Be respectful and polite. It's important to leave a good taste in the community's mouth, especially in the business that is hosting your event, if that's how you're doing it. So if you're at a business, plan to make purchases and tip the wait staff. You don't want to be the group that stiffs them, because you're that much less likely to get invited back. So make sure and make sure your people know. Hey guys, we're having this election night party. It's at, it's at Chewy's. And they've been gracious enough to give us a back room with a TV and let us set up our projector. And they're doing all that for free. Please show up, grab a meal, support them, grab a few drinks, help them out because they're helping us out. Make it fun for everyone else. If you can't afford it, or your county can afford it, have some prizes. This is a great way to get people to show up, and seeing that big group will attract other people. I'm not saying you shouldn't do this anyway if it's just 3 of you, because I have been in county situations where it was 3 of us. But it is a lot more effective if there's 12. So if you put out there, hey, we're doing this, and there are door prizes for people who show up, that's all the more likely to get people there. If you can afford it, buy drinks, or maybe have a drink ticket system. One really great way to do this is to make up some tickets, right? And for anybody who is a donor or sustaining donor, they get 2 tickets. Or maybe a recurring donor gets 2 tickets, and somebody who's donated up to $25 gets 1. And maybe there's something you can arrange at the bar where they can give the ticket to the bar and you pay it at the end. Maybe it's something where they come to you and you turn the ticket to you and you buy them a drink. But the point is that ticket's good for a drink now, and there's a great way for you to appreciate your donors. It gets your donors out there, which lets your donors see that you're doing something in the county, which encourages them to keep donating, and you get to give back. It is a win all the way around. It is also, I would say, an opportunity to bring some extra tickets. And if somebody says, hey, I see there's tickets here for drinks, how do I get one? And be like, well, actually, it's real easy. If you have given $25, you get a drink ticket. And if you are a monthly donor, you get 2 or 3, whatever your deal is. And he said, okay, cool. Like, so have you donated? Oh, I haven't yet. If you want to, I can get you set up right now and we'll get you a drink ticket. Boom. They have a chance to support you and get their drink ticket. And honestly, even if it was like, for me, even if it was a monthly donation of $10, got you 3 drink tickets, but 3 drink tickets cost me $11, I would still do it. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. A few of them may sign up for that donation and leave and you never see them again, and you lose money on that. Let's say you get 5 of these out there, and 4 of them just stiffed you in order to get that. And you get 1 person who actually appreciates it and wants to stay a donor. If they stay a donor for a year, which honestly most nonprofits count a donor for 2 years, if they stay a donor for 1 year at $10 a month, they've paid $120, okay? Those other 4 people paid you $10. So you've now made $160 for your county, and it cost you 5 times 12. It cost you $60. You just made $100 profit giving those people $1. So I think this, honestly, is a great program if you can get people out there to convert them to donors. Make games such as election night bingo. I actually put in there a link to a bingo card generator. I think that will allow you to generate up to 30 cards free. And then in the document below that link is a list of just like, I threw something together for bingo squares that you can paste into there. or make your own. And in fact, in my particular bingo squares, you get a few spaces just for being a donor. So, again, back to that donor appreciation program that you can implement. If you have done nothing to implement a donor appreciation program, you can be implement that starting November 8th, right there. And you can start advertising it that you're going to do it today. Be responsible. Okay, we're all having fun, we're having drinks. Every one of these people that have come out to appreciate your election night event, you're going to need them for the next election night. You're going to need them for tomorrow. You're going to need them for all kinds of stuff. You need to make sure that everyone gets home safe and wakes up safe in the morning, okay? If there's somebody who's had a little bit too much, get them a ride. Find someone else who can take them home. We all believe in personal responsibility. It's time to exercise it. So take care of your people. Be protective. Speech. So during that election night party, at some point, it will not be uncommon for you to give a speech, so you need to be ready for that. Not the best speaker? Great. Here's a great way for you to practice in front of a safe group, because this is your people, and you're not having to jump right in on a news station or in a public venue. This is, a little bit public. It's a restaurant, but, it's your people. Be prepared to give a speech at the end of the event. Here's a little bit of what you can put in there. If there's a particular race that your county is focusing on, have multiple variations ready for that race. Have the, we really appreciate Gregory for running. He's shown the people there's a Libertarian Party, and damned if he didn't, walk the soles out of his shoes. We have the 10%. In local races, so it's not going to apply so much here, but let's say for local races, for every 10% you get, your county gets an extra delegate. That's a little incentive that we put into the bylaws to get you to run local candidates. So he gets 10%. Have the speech ready for, not only did we rock it, not only did we do better than any libertarians done in this county in 15 years, we actually earned a delegate from it. Congratulations, and thank you, Greg, for all the hard work. And then, have the victory one ready. Let me see. I might come back to these. Right here. Write a victory speech. Okay? The reason we write a victory speech, even if you have zero chance to win, this is the most entrenched Republican ever against the Democrat with a $10 million war chest for this race. There's no chance for you and your little $1,000 campaign to do anything, right? You're going to look exceptionally stupid if you mess up and win and don't have a plan. And let me give you an example of messing up and winning. Barack Obama, when he was running his Senate campaign, he was in a very red district. He was not expected to win. He was running like an educational campaign, a protest campaign, whatever you want to call it. And his opponent was in a relationship with the actress, I forget her name, but for any of you Trekkies out there, you'll recognize that she was the one who played Seven of Nine in Voyager, okay? Very attractive female actress, and they had a rather harsh breakup. And information came out from her that his opponent was sexually deviant, and I don't remember the exact details, but maybe he was abusive. I don't remember. But anyway, some information about his sex life came out. That last minute propelled Obama to his Senate seat, gave him a keynote speaking position at the Democratic National Convention, and it was his speech at the Democratic National Convention that made people go, huh, this guy could run for president. He fucked up and won. If that happens to us and we don't have a victory speech, it's a terrible start to that race. So be prepared. I'm going to go back. In your speech, thank yous. Thank yous are awesome. People appreciate them. They feel seen. They feel recognized. They are more inclined to come back and work for you again. And it's a great way to take up space. If you get up there and you are planning on giving a 5-minute speech and you're 2 minutes in and you don't know what to say, start thanking people. It is so easy. People love it. You get applauses. It gets the crowd riled up. Start thanking anybody and everybody. And when you're thanking them, don't say, I want to thank Bob and James and Jenny and my parents. No, no, no. I want to thank Bob because he took the time to go run signs half these polling places. And I want to thank Jenny. Jenny has been great. She, first of all, look at this dip she made. Awesome. But she has been great about helping me organize all these events. I don't know where we'd be right now without her. My mom and dad, who, it's funny, when this year began, they weren't even libertarians. And I talked to them about it. They've read the platform. They've become so involved. And they've become donors to the party. So first of all, thank you guys. Say something specific about every person you're thanking and why you're thanking them. Again, this takes some more time, but it also makes people feel like individuals and lets them know that you recognize the contribution they've been giving. And it makes them more apt to continue to make those contributions in the future. Okay, that's all of that. Okay, we got through our party. We had a good time. Jenny's dip was amazing. And we're to the after election. Are we done? No, absolutely not. First thing we need to do is release a statement. We need to be releasing a statement about how the elections went. As far as this, it can be largely derived from the speeches you wrote. Let's not reinvent the wheel every time. You have all the points written in your speech. You wrote multiple versions for the outcomes, so you now know the outcome of the race. Take that speech, put it in there. You can take this statement, you can put it in your social media, you can put it on your website, you can blast it out to your email list, but also, and this is one of the things I forgot about in there, there's a press release template in that folder. And you can put your information in there, and you can do a press release. But John, I don't know who to email to. I don't know my my media contacts. Well, that's absolutely fine because the state party has access to software that can pull those, and we can get you that information. And I am more than willing to pull. I don't get to pull the reports. I don't have access, but I am more than willing to request as many data pools as is necessary for people who actually want to write press releases. We don't do enough of that in this party. And it's something we need to be more proactive in. Do a postmortem report. So I mentioned earlier that there is an example postmortem report. You want to take an internal look at how your election night went. You want to look at what went right, what went wrong, how much you spent on it, what you got in return for what you spent, and how you can do better. And even if you did your donor appreciation thing and you didn't have any money in the bank account, your party was broke, so what you had to do is you had to buy the drinks yourself, and you couldn't do the 1 drink ticket and 2. You had to do 1 drink ticket for the monthly donors because you couldn't afford that many drinks. That's perfectly fine. And first of all, awesome job in being proactive on that. But secondly, take all that money you spent and record it internally. You don't have to report this. You have to report it unless your county's raised a lot more money than you would be if you don't have any money to purchase drinks. But you have to report it as a in-kind donation. So put it in that report. I made an in-kind donation of $60 in drinks, okay, to the party. The reason it's important that you record the cost of that is now you have donors. And if you don't, you may have donors later. And even though you didn't have money in the party bank account to fund this event this time, hopefully in 2 years you do have that money and you have an idea of what it costs you and what you got for it and what worked out well and what didn't. And in 2 years when you're doing this again, you're going to remember a lot, but you're going to forget a lot. And having this report that you can pull up and remind yourself of all the things that you wrote while it was fresh in your mind is priceless for your ability to do this even better the next time. So you wrote your postmortem, you've released your press statement. Now it's time to turn around and to begin prepping for local elections. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be our next training next month. I don't have a date yet, but we will get a date out, and you can come learn about prepping for local elections. So with that said, I have scheduled us for 2 hours. We went right at 1 hour, and I have a whole hour for Q&A. If we don't have any, we can end early, but I am here until y'all are done asking. So at this time, I'm going to unmute, and I'm going to ask people to show some courtesy with their mics. So where's this thing? Turn on microphones. Okay, cool. All right.
Okay, John, just real quick.
Let me turn you up. Try again, Christy.
Okay, there was some chat going on in the internal chat that I copied and pasted into the questions so you could keep it for the future people, so if they have the similar questions.
Got you. Okay. And I noticed I need to scroll. I thought this thing would scroll for me. Did John say that in local elections, each 10% level gains a county affiliate party an additional delegate to state? Yes, John did say that. In order to qualify for this 10%, it has to be a candidate. I'm doing this from memory. You can go check the LPTexas bylaws to confirm this. But from memory, it has to be a candidate who is nominated at county convention. Now, this can be a few different things. This can be a county level candidate, or it can be a district candidate where the district was wholly contained within your county. It has to be a partisan race. It can't be like, this guy's a member of the Libertarian Party, or we endorse this guy for a city council race. It has to be a partisan race. But if you meet those criteria, the highest candidate, for every 10% they get additional delegate. I think that cuts off at 5. I think once you win the race, you don't get additional delegates past that. You just get, a libertarian office, which to me is cooler. But I think that's the way the bylaw is laid out.
So John, if I win, I only get 5 new delegates. I don't get any other bonuses. No special treatment of any kind.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, you will definitely get mentioned at the state convention a lot of times, and you get to go, be an office holder. But no, I don't think there's anything in the bylaws that is required for you to get. I'll say it like that.
Okay, so I should keep knocking on doors, is what you're telling me.
You should absolutely keep knocking on doors. Yes.
John.
Yes.
This is Carol Unsicker from the fantastic county of Harris County. I remember Neil Dykeman. He did observation as the Texas Senate candidate. Is that something that, as a candidate, you can do? I mean, he wasn't watching, but he was allowed to observe.
I don't know the answer to that.
That's the reason why I asked that question earlier.
Yeah. I really haven't done the research on that to really be able to speak confidently on it. I was really focusing this on county affiliates. But that would be a great question, Carol, because I know you happen to be in the Discord to go into the Ask Staff. I know we have some people that are kind of more oriented toward helping the candidates and seeing if they have an answer in there. Cool. All right. Anyone else? All right. If you guys insist on giving me my evening back, I guess I'll take it, but not thrilled about it.
I did just want to add one thing. I think you mentioned it, but really pay attention to where early voting locations are. Don't sleep. I mean, some locations, for example, here in Dallas County, there's some locations that may just get 1 or 2 voters a day, but there's others that'll get a steady stream. So kind of keep your eye on that, and especially don't wait till election day to go out there and start canvassing. If you have time to pop by the more active early voting locations, be sure to do that as well, so that you can be catching those early voters as well.
Yeah, and I do want to tell a fun little story now that you mentioned that. This wasn't in Texas. This was actually a story that I got in my work with National. But we actually got a libertarian elected once who did nothing else but show up to the polls and participate. He actually wasn't even running for the office he got elected in. So he showed up at his polling location, he voted, and he realized in his particular state, you could do write-in. Amanda Gibbs asking that was Thrasher. It might have been Thrasher. I don't remember. You can do write-in without having to do some of the previous work that you have to do in Texas. And he showed up and realized that there was a office that had no candidates. So quickly went home, printed out a few pamphlets, and handed them out, and ran the shortest write-in campaign ever. Got maybe, 7 votes or whatever it is, but 7 was more than 0, and he won the spot just by paying attention. So that.
Oh, wait.
Go ahead. But anyway, so that kind of participation, activism, and interest, it comes right back around to just by being there, just by showing up, just by being participants in the system. Every time, even in races where we don't have a chance, we have the opportunity that something goes in our favor and we catch a break. So just showing up and participating is in itself a victory.
John, can we put up signs for early voting as well as voting the election day?
I do believe so. I'm actually going to go back.
Yes, you can have signs up for early voting, because we did when Scott ran for office.
Yeah, I know. I'm like
before.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
know your area for early voting.
Yeah, you'll see, and most counties have already published their early voting locations, so you can probably go on the election administrator site, whatever that is, for your county. But yeah, you definitely can, as long as you have to follow the same rules as election day. You have to keep it outside that perimeter there, but you definitely can. You can definitely start putting up
Early?
Yeah.
Mark Ash, Mark's brother and we hit West Gray in Houston, which is supposed to be the largest population of people moving through early voting. If we didn't do that, Mark wouldn't have got the numbers that he got. And that's where we hit him, because the Democrats didn't have a candidate in that race. So yeah, early voting, that's a great place to not hit. Well, that is a violation of the NAP, but approach people.
Yeah. So coming back here to this slide with the election code, you are allowed to do it anytime during the voting period, which here is defined as the period beginning when the polls open for voting and ending when the polls close, or the last voter has voted, whichever is the latter. So anytime people are able to vote, you're able to put signs out. I see a question in the chat from Amanda. And what do affiliates need to do post-election to fill potential candidates? A lot of that is, so there's 2 kinds of sides that are really important: fielding the candidates, but also recruiting them, because we might have really good libertarian voices and people who just don't run for office for whatever reason. I know internally from the administrative side, the first time I ran for treasurer, I had no intention. I had no idea of running for treasurer. But I got a call from Pat Dixon, who thought I'd be a good treasurer for whatever reason, and asked if I was willing to run for treasurer. I think I was successful. I think I did well. But that said, it might be the case that you have somebody who'd be a great candidate who'd love to do it, who just, it's not occurred to them. And by putting a bug in their ear, you can get them to do it. But then on the fielding part, like, we don't want just everyone running for us. So that's really where you want to go back to kind of the slide I did on nonpartisan elections and consulting the platform, asking your candidates if they're familiar with their platform, and taking the question to larger bodies like your CEC or voting membership so that they can weigh in on this. I would very much strive to keep your party politics outside of your nomination process and really focus in on what does the platform say? Does this person agree with our statement of principles? Is this person going to run a good campaign? Because the moment you let internal party politics start to dictate your views on candidates, you're going to have the potential to miss out on some really good candidates for your county who maybe agree with you 95%, but just fall in a different group. So that's kind of my quick and dirty advice for fielding candidates, but I do encourage y'all to come next month and hear more in depth.
Just touching on that, for example, it often may depend on what race they're running for. For example, if it's a district judge position and they're a civil libertarian, but in other areas they're not quite so libertarian, because in that role they will be, aligning with our views. That'll be one thing. If you have a sheriff candidate who's going to be not pursuing nonviolent drug offenses, but in other areas he may not line up with our views, or she rather, so it's good to weigh those things as far as not only how libertarian are they, but in that role that they would be serving, are they going to be libertarian minded? Are they going to promote our views and our ideals?
Yeah, and so one other thing that's going to be really important, not only ask them if they're, so I'm glad you said that. Don't only ask them if they're familiar with our platform, if they agree with our platform. Ask them what the job they're going to be doing is. Ask them, hey, so what are your duties when you get this job? And how do you plan to carry out that? Because in asking them those really tough questions, and I don't think that's even that tough one, but asking them scrutinous questions, I'll put it that way, is actually a really kind thing you can do for them. Because once they get out there on the campaign trail, somebody's going to. And I think it's a lot better for them and less embarrassing for your party if you've already asked them and already have an idea if they know the answers to them, and maybe give them a cue that that's something they can go research, than to instead have them get caught in a situation where they're looking dumbfounded at somebody who's asking them, do you even know what the Railroad Commission does? So. All right, anything else? Okay. Well, guys, it's been awesome. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you guys attending. I also encourage that if you have any feedback about the training, ways we can improve it or anything like that, feel free to email us. You can reach us at affiliate. Christy, can you drop the general? It's not affiliates, is it?
Affiliate team.
Affiliate team. Is it affiliate dash team?
No dash.
Just one word, affiliate team. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. You can email us at affiliateteam@lptexas.org, and we would be happy to get any feedback. So, all right. Thank you, guys. I'm hanging up.
Thanks, John.